Hey y'all, good evening, good evening, good evening. Of course, it's Wednesday at 9, and we are back with another episode of Pain Reality. And today, so last week, Jew decided he wanted to kind of put me out there like I just be having like all these packages coming in. You did talking about I get packages coming all the time from Amazon. Excuse me. And so that actually kind of prompted my thoughts, and I started thinking about our finances. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is finances. And so kind of the thought process behind that is what's the setup in your house? Like, do y'all got play money? Do y'all got the house money? Like, how does that work for y'all? Like, what is it that y'all do? Or do y'all pay tithe? Like, what's some of the stuff that y'all do in y'all's household, and how does that work for you guys? So, Jew, what you got to say?
Hello.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about this?
Yeah. I thought you had a question or something.
I did. I mean, I didn't know you was just gonna say hello and then look back down.
I thought it was introductions.
I think you do that on purpose.
What? Say I? Yes.
And
I
then
do.
don't say nothing else.
I don't. I rarely do that. Maybe once
Okay.
every 4 shows.
So tell them what's the makeup in our house. What do we do here?
I mean, a joint account, and then I guess you got your slush fund.
That's what you call it.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's an actual slush fund, but you know what I will. What I will say is, hold on, I got to share this real quick. Share.
That was already shared.
Not I share it to my news feed. Now shared. So originally, when me and you originally began to date, we shared money quite a bit. So we actually shared money. Just as friends, just as dater boos and all this type of stuff. We would share money, or not necessarily just share money like we had each other's bank cards, because we didn't have each other's bank cards, but we didn't mind helping each other out with money. Like that was just part of our friendship. And so then when we got married, I had this wonderful, amazing idea that Jew knew how to handle money better than me. And so because I felt like Jew had made this book, remember that book you had?
No.
So Jew had made this book.
No, I don't remember the book.
Yes, you do remember the book. And so in this book,
I don't remember the book.
Jew had like all of our bills lined up, like January, February, March, April, all through for the whole year, all in these little plastic, like when you got the Trapper Keepers.
Oh my goodness!
It was a Trapper Keeper.
It was not. It was a binder.
Okay, it looked like a Trapper Keeper.
Not a Trapper Keeper.
It looked like a Trapper Keeper.
It didn't have the flap over it. It was just a binder.
So it looked like a Trapper Keeper to me. And so he had the little plastic little cover things in this whole entire thing. And it had our bills lined out. So when I seen this, because I think I first originally seen it before we got married. And so I was like, wow, Jew knows how to handle money. And so we get married, and he made this book for us, because I'm like pumping him all up like, oh my God, you got this book. And it once we really start, like, Jew's not bad with money, put it that way. He's not bad with money, but Jew was not raised in a household that paid tithe. And I was raised in a household where off the top, we are paying tithe. So even though he had this amazing book and, did all this type of stuff, and, he still to this day, the bulk of our finances that come in is on Jew makes the bulk of our finances, and our big bills come out of his paycheck. But when it came to paying tithe, Jew would like sometimes pay tithe, and then other times he wouldn't pay tithe. And so for me, so for me and my relationship with God, like growing up, even as like a college student, when I was in the military, I've always paid tithe. It didn't matter. I'm paying my tithe. That was something I truly believed, and I seen that at work in my house, in my life. Like when I was out on when I finally moved out of my parents' house, I never faced eviction where I felt like I had to go back home. I didn't, but I made sure I paid my tithe, and I felt like, whoa, good, I always got money. So he was the total opposite. I mean, he was totally opposite. So we get married, and I come with this thing like, we got to pay tithe. Like when you get paid, buddy, make sure that 10th comes off. We since marriage, we've been at the same church. We're sowing on good ground. And sometimes he would pay and sometimes he wouldn't. And so I'm like, I would look at our account and I'd be like, it just don't seem right. So a few times I would be like, did you pay our tithe? And he would be like, well, I paid some of them. I'd be like, what happened to the rest of them? So that wasn't his thing. And so I sometimes I would notice like, okay, me and you, we make good money together. And so sometimes I would feel like if we make all this money, why is it pension right now? And I couldn't understand that. So that's what prompted me to start asking him, does he pay tithe? And so that's when I started finding out that, for him, it was like sometimes he paid tithe, other times he wasn't paying tithe. What I eventually did was, and first, let me say, I've always had my own separate account. We do have a joint account where, back in the day, my paycheck went into our joint account. And that's where we paid the bulk of our bills. But I also had another account that I recently closed it, but I always had this account from long before, like when I was in California, still married in my other relationship. I always had this account. So with me being a veteran, I'm a disabled veteran. So I get paid, for lack of a better word, every single month from being a veteran. And so my paycheck will go into our joint account, and then any money I got from because I would do hair on the side. So any money I got from doing hair and any money I got when my book starts selling and my disability check, all of this went into my Play account. And so that's where I buy my Amazon fetishes from, and all of my stuff is from this. It was from this Play account. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. I kept noticing that I felt like we were being pinched when it came into our finances. And so I asked you again, like, dude, is you paying our tithe? Like, we make too much money for it to just be this pinch all the time. Again, the same spiel. So I decided I'm going to start paying our tithe. Okay, I recognize that this wasn't a strong suit for Jew, but it was a very, very important thing for me as far as my relationship with God. And so I said, okay, it's easy. Let me just pay tithe. So in the midst of this, listen, y'all, I'm going to be very, very transparent tonight. There came a point in me and Jew's marriage where, I've been telling y'all I'm the one that used to throw out the D word talking about divorce. So there came a point in our marriage where I separated my account from Jew's account because I was in the thought process of, man, if we don't make it, I don't want to have to deal with this whole money situation, blah, blah, blah. And so I separated my account, like even my paychecks and all of that type of stuff started going into my own. I had my own account, plus I still had my Play account. And so Jew, I was still a part of our, first of all, this has made me think of that. Did you ever feel some kind of way because I was a part of the joint account, but I had separated my account?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about that. But so I ended up separating because in my head, like I was like kind of checking out at this point. And so once, I started checking back in over the last couple of years or something like that, I never put our account back. So what I ended up doing is since I still have access to our joint account, I just move funds in between both accounts, which, it's kind of tedious now that I think about it, but I would just move funds in between both accounts. And for one, I would make sure our tithe was paid. So every time Jew gets paid and every time I get paid, I pay one big pot in our tithe. And that way I felt like even if that's not his strong suit, but it is my strong suit to automatically feel like I'm about to pay tithe, let me just include his in it. I'm gonna just include his, and that way, as a couple at this point, our tithes are now paid. So, but I want to backtrack. Why did you not never tell me you felt some kind of way?
You were doing what you wanted to do.
Did you know that's why I did it?
No.
That
No, because you never said that. You just did it.
You didn't feel it in your spirit that I wonder what's going on with her.
Yeah, but I mean, you just did it. Like I said, you ain't say nothing. So for me, I mean, I didn't say like I didn't think like, oh, because you paying tithes, but I felt like, oh, well, she preparing in case we do separate or get divorced.
I was.
Yeah, like I ain't that goofy.
Yeah, so Teresa, I agree. Jude does sometimes act like he ain't got no feelings.
I don't even know what that means.
So I feel like he should have mentioned it to me.
Why? You should have mentioned it to me.
You knew I was feeling how I was feeling.
Still.
You should have mentioned it.
I mean, like I said, I didn't know the tithe part, so.
I mean, it was twofold, really. I mean, it was the tithe and the checking out, but at the same time, like, so how does these conversations happen when I'm raised in the church where I'm a pay tithe, but you, on the other hand, he wasn't about that life. Like he wasn't interested in paying tithe. So I guess my question to you, because these are our conversations, where are you at now when it comes to that? I mean,
what do you mean? You take care of it.
I know that's what I was about to say. If I don't take care of paying tithe, where are you at with that?
But you do.
So if I just stop paying tithe today from our joint account, would you pay your tithe?
Yeah.
How you know? Because I.
What do you mean? How do I know?
Because I be.
You just asked me the question. You can't ask me the question. I give you the answer, and then you like, how you know? That can't be the answer.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is do you now see why tithe is important to pay?
I knew why tithe was important to pay in the first place.
Oh, you just wasn't paying it.
Yeah, I mean it's because listen, when you get paycheck and you see some bills need to be paid and you like, you better shut up, Teresa Evans.
You know her name is not Teresa.
Teresa?
Yes.
Sorry, Teresa. But you get a check and you looking and you like, man, I know I need to pay tithes. But you like, I know I need them lights on too. And as much as you know, like, okay, if I pay tithes, I'll be taken care of. You like, hey, the natural part sometimes take over and be like, all right, that electric paid. God, I'll get you on the back end.
And then back end started
tallying up. Yeah.
And you ain't paying on them back ends.
I mean, it happens.
So you remember the one time you had this was like, I don't remember if I was pregnant with Julian or not. But you ended up losing your job from First Energy.
Yeah.
So Julius lost his job.
You telling my business.
Well, I mean, this is part of the conversation.
Oh.
So he loses his job.
See?
He loses his job all these years. It was years ago. He lost his job. And so I remember, like, I think I was pregnant with Julian. I might have been pregnant with Julian. In any case, I don't think I was working because with Julian, I had a high-risk pregnancy. I was, 30-something. I was in my 30s when I had Julian.
Oh,
and then, so because of my twin pregnancy, they didn't want me doing certain stuff. I mean, I was getting shots every week, and it was just it was a lot going on. So I ended up not working after like 5 months of being pregnant or something like that. And I remember this one day I was sitting on the couch. Maybe I had Julian and I had one back. I don't remember. But in any case, I was sitting on the couch this one day, and Jude walks in the house, and he's like, I said, "What is you doing home so early?" And he just looked at me, and I was like, "Did you lose your job?" And he like, "Yep." And he just went upstairs, like no conversation around it, no nothing. He just dropped the bombshell and he went upstairs. And so I remember sitting there like, man, what we gonna do? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, I ain't working and now he not working. Like, what's gonna happen? And I just remember I felt loads of amounts of peace when I was sitting here praying, like asking God, like, what's about to happen to us? Like, we about to be out on these streets somewhere, and we got all these kids, and we got all this stuff going on, and what's about to happen? And I just felt peace. And so I even like, now don't get me wrong. So, we did get unemployment. First of all, how you lose your job, and this is kind of off, but this
Well,
made me
go
think.
back to what you were talking about. 'Cause
This
you
ain't
gonna
got
forget.
no. I'm not. I ain't gonna forget. But we didn't even qualify for food stamps after you lost your job. Like, I still feel some type of way about that, because I'm like, how we still don't qualify for food stamps, and he lost a job and I'm not working? Like, I don't understand.
Just
So, but anyways, okay. So, but I felt all this peace when he told me he lost his job. So, I didn't get ruffled and do none of that type of stuff. The first thing I said when he told me that, well, after I had my little moment, I was like, well, we do pay our tithe. I said, and right now, God, I gotta trust you like never before to work this thing out. Listen, through this whole transition, we didn't get food stamps. I want to put that out there again. They would not give us food stamps for whatever reason. We never starved. We always had food. We always made sure our bills was paid. I don't remember if we had car notes around that time, but during that time period, and you was out of a job, what, 6, 7 months or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. Plus, we had the conversation too, and this is something I want to talk about too. Wait, Teresa. First of all, we have 6 kids. We don't have 8. 8 is like 2 more, and that's just a lot. So we do have 6 kids, though. During this transition of him losing his job, the one thing I said is he hated his job. First of all, he hated his job, and so we start having a conversation of course, oh, let me send you this job thing. Let me send you this different stuff. As far as jobs, like putting in applications, or I see something on Indeed that I think he would like, and different stuff like that. And so I remember this one day I was praying, and I ended up having a conversation with you, like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Like, what type of job are you interested in? And so he began to kind of share a little bit about where his heart was as far as a job. And so what I said to him, I said, okay, I said, you already don't have a job. Our finances is where they're at right now. We ain't been on the streets. We eat, bills paid, all we get gas in our car. I said, so take the time and find the job that you actually want. I said, just whatever it is that you want to do and you want to find that job, just find that job. I said, because at this point, it's no point in you going back into a job that you absolutely loathe just to in a couple years you don't like it, or whatever the case may be. So that's where we was when he lost his job. And I'm like, it is what it is. Let's just go for it. But during that time, I remember really thinking that, man, I'm so happy that I make you pay tithe, that we are paying our tithe, because I really felt like if we had not have been paying tithe, like who knows what would have happened. I mean, I feel like we was graced during that period because we were, attentive to paying our tithes for us to sit, and that's when you ended up getting the Tina Project.
Mm-hmm.
That was around the time. So Tina Project, just a little side, was basically a youth advocate, where you're going into the schools to talk about healthy relationships, no sexting, all of those type of things. But you went into Summit and Medina County schools to have that conversation with kids, junior high to high school, and that was right up his alley. So he got this job, and it only started out as a part-time job. It wasn't even a full-time job. So I think we did have Julian at that point. So I remember always saying, okay, never again will it be the question on whether or not we're gonna pay our tithe or not. And you struggled, but I didn't struggle, because that actually meant something to me, that through that whole transition, that God truly took care of us because we paid our tithe. So it kind of set how I've always viewed our finances. Even like, he called my fund the slush fund, which is not. I mean, I do good stuff with my slush fund. like, little stuff that we may need around the house and different stuff like that. I do shop. I'll admit it. I do a lot of shopping, but I am very, very careful that I don't double dip. I'm not double dipping into our joint account where we really take care of the bulk of our household stuff. I do hair. I make pretty decent money doing hair on the side. I do a lot of stuff on the side that actually makes me decent money so I can buy the stuff that I want. I'm just saying. So what about you? How do you like, so do you feel like as a married couple, there should be separate accounts?
Personally, no. And I say, huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Personally, I don't think so. Just because, I mean, like I said, I think there should always be a joint account, and then if y'all have an agreement or something where y'all got y'all individual accounts or whatever that some money goes into, I don't see no problem with that. But I don't think that in a marriage you should both, the only accounts you have are separate accounts. And I mean, obviously nobody gets married to get divorced, but I think that with separate accounts, it kind of feeds that my money, your money type of thing. And it's like when you marry, it's our money. Obviously, like if y'all got the separate accounts and you like do stuff on the side or whatever the case, and y'all agreed that like, okay, that's your money. That's you go buy shoes, you get socks or whatever you want on that, then go for it. But there has to be a joint account. Like there just has to be that for me, I think is yeah, gotta be.
I mean, I agree that I agree that it has to be joint accounts. That's just my personal opinion. But a lot of this conversation is surrounding because although we do my main account, like my main finances that I bring in does not go into our joint account anymore. Like I separated everything. And I mean, I guess at this point in time, you know, I'm settled that I ain't throwing the divorce word around no more.
You guess.
I am settled and I'm not. So do you think I should actually bring it back together?
Bring what back together?
Because my account is totally separate.
No, it's that's your business. Do what you've been doing.
So I
It's been
feel like
working,
I'm
so
just gonna bring it back together.
it's been working. Do what you know.
It do actually work
Right.
now that I think about it. Why do you think it worked now though?
I don't know.
Okay, so why do you think it worked if you feel like I mean, we have a joint account, but it's not because I'm putting money in the joint account. Like the only
But I
thing
mean,
that goes in it is
but see, that's that for me will be the other question. Is like when you're married, because I've heard people say, like, for instance, I was listening to Ricky Smiley, and Ricky Smiley was like, somebody called and was like, well, when you get married or you get that lady, the dude pay all the bills. And so of course Ricky Smiley got to, how he talk all nasally and everything. When I
you
was
know.
married, so he like, when he was married or whatever, oh well, I paid all the bills, I took care of everything, and she just could go and spend and do. And I'm like, where they do that at? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you can do it and that's what y'all agreed on, so be it. But I think like he was saying that like if you don't do that, you ain't no man. I'm like, I don't that so for me, it's like, okay, I don't care that the account that you have, the separate account that whatever monies is going into because the bills are split.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no you taking care of I'm taking care of the mortgage and all the bills, and then you just over here piling up money like I'm rolling in it. No.
I mean, I could buy some boots now.
I mean, I'm sure you could, but make sure that this bill and that bill paid. But I mean, that would be my question is like, are there people that are married that think like, hey, as the man, you're responsible for the mortgage, the gas, the electric, all the bills.
So this is a question. So are we 50-50? We are not 50-50.
We 100.
She talking about paying the
I
bills
know.
for her, him. I don't know.
I know.
We are
They're talking about
there.
the
Yes,
bills.
that's okay. I wish I would have thought of that before I made the assumption.
Cool, I got you.
Okay. So we are not 50-50. Jew makes quite a bit more money than I do. And so I will, yes, you do. So he pays like the big stuff. So I handle like our cell phone bills, which is a lot. Like we got a lot.
Y'all remember the episode about the iPhone 19? Yeah, cell phone bill. Continue, right?
You was a hater for real. So I pay the cell phone bill. I pay like water bill. I pay like little stuff like that. Plus, like I'm an independent provider, so I actually get deposits every single week, um, and so that helps on the in the meantime of like little stuff that may come up, cable. I don't really want to call them little bills because I think like those are bills you gotta have. But I pay the little bills and he paid the big bills. So he paid, we ain't gonna be out on the streets because that's what comes out of when he gets paid. So that's actually kind of how it's always been, even when all of my stuff was being deposited into our joint account, that it's always been that way. Like you don't never even be like, Tia, what you got in your account? Can you give me some money? Jew actually still gives me money. Like he'll just randomly cash at me money, and I'd be like, "Why did you just cash at me money?" I don't know. Here's some money.
Maybe I should stop.
You shouldn't stop. Actually, I don't want you to stop doing that.
Mm.
So, I mean, Jew is an actual very, very giving person. Like if my love language was gifts, I would be set because he good at that. Just random stuff. He's really, really good at that. But I don't know. It's all I guess we kind of never talked about it once I separated everything. I mean, I guess I'm on blast now because I should probably put it back together. But I didn't think about it after a while. It was just like, okay, it works. And I'm gonna make sure our tithe is still getting paid and all of those type of things. But I definitely think, since we're talking from a pain reality standpoint, that Jew should have probably told me he felt some kind of way about the fact that I did that. But he didn't. And we having it live on air that he felt some kind of way that I separated our accounts. But it's cool. Because I'm gonna make him happy tomorrow and I'm gonna still keep my own separate account though. I mean, because all like my book money still going there.
I mean, like I said, it's fine. I don't. It works. So, can I ask a question?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I don't know how many people on here are married or whatever. I don't know if Joe's still on here, but Joe, like, what do you think about the whole a man's supposed to pay all the bills and the woman just live?
Well, while Joe may or may not be on here formulating his answer, and anybody else who chooses to answer that question, I think that's actually kind of ridiculous. Like even with me separating our accounts, I would never logically in my head feel like, well, you the man, so you gotta make sure all this stuff is taken care of. Like in my head, that would never be something that I thought about. I didn't separate stuff so it would make him pay everything. I separated it for my own, personal reasons and stuff like that. But my intent was to still, pay stuff. So I don't know. Like, why would somebody say? Was he rich?
It was Ricky Smiley.
Oh, Ricky Smiley said he felt like
and then like him and the brat was like, well, that's what they saw growing up. Was they grandpa or they dad paid all the bills?
Yeah, but the wife didn't work.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, that was in like the whatever, the 50s, whatever, where the wife maybe didn't work, but I'm like, or she worked a few hours, but I was like, I guess.
So they wasn't rich though. That was just how they dynamic was set up.
I suppose.
It had to be like back then. Like, come on now, that's different.
Mercedes said they're engaged. They're engaged and they partner pay big bills. They pay small bills. Hey, whatever works. I'm like, if it worked for you, it worked.
Did you read Joe's?
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing wrong with each person being accountable for a specific bill. I don't either, Joseph. Like I really like I mean I don't knock anybody's train of thought. Just like when we was talking about kids and people saying their kids could stay forever and all that. I don't knock anybody's train of thought. I just like, I don't know. Like to me, that type of stuff kind of breeds can breed that kind of control type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, well, this is my house. Yeah, we say this is my house. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like if I'm paying all it's almost like moving in with somebody. You move in and your name ain't on nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like at any point, like I said, you don't get married to get divorced, but at any point, especially if you're not married, that person can be like,
get out.
Yeah, get out, or this is my house. Or like talk to you any kind of way because, well, you don't pay no bills around here anyway. And it's like,
that's a good point.
Do you really want to even, and again, people ain't getting married to get divorced and stuff like that, or you don't move in with people thinking like, oh, well, next week they're going to be tripping. But if we talking about real life, it happens.
It does. So let me ask you this. What would you have felt some type of way? So literally we have been in the same space since we got married. Like all these wonderful, amazing 13 years that we've been married, we've been here. So when you moved in, if I wouldn't have like put you on the lease and all that type of stuff, would that have made you feel some kind of way?
Oh, we signing them papers.
What papers? Like
divorce papers.
Oh, now you throwing out divorce?
I would have been if you would have did that.
So I had moved already to a house before me and Jude was married. Honestly, I actually like, okay, that's a different conversation. But I was here in this house before me and Jude got married. So yes, I'm gonna put it that way. We're gonna read this one.
With my husband and I, we both work, have a joint account to pay all our bills and household stuff, etc. I'm the one who makes all the payments to the companies, though. But we have our separate accounts for what we may want gifts for each other.
Oh, you know what? I'm happy you actually said that, because sometimes I feel Shayna. Solid. I feel like you should actually probably get an account outside, because people always be like, Tia, why do you always know stuff? And I just be thinking like, because we got a joint account, so I know when he buying me stuff. So I be thinking like, when I buy you stuff, I don't buy it out of our joint account. I'm sorry. I don't buy it out of our joint account. Like I actually buy it out of my own personal account. So it's a surprise, like, hey, surprise.
Maybe you should turn off notifications.
No, it's not really like a notification. It's like if I'm going on there to, pay a bill or something like that, and then I be seeing little stuff, I be like, okay, what's that?
Just nosy.
It's not really being nosy.
It's cool.
I'm saying like that's a good point. Like I think you should maybe get your slush fund account then.
All right.
Are you gonna get a slush fund account?
Maybe.
Because I be knowing stuff. Like I be knowing stuff. Is all I'm gonna say. I be knowing stuff. So just my little spiel.
Wait. Maybe.
I'm just saying.
It's woman nature. Yeah, I'm sure. Nosy. Yeah, I don't buy the version. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So that way it's a surprise. So when you buy me stuff, it's like,
thank you, Joseph.
Only you reading that.
I know, but I'm just saying when it go up there, they'll understand. Thank you. Shouldn't be nosy.
That I don't really feel like that's nosy though.
It is kind of.
How, when it's on our joint account? It's not like I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, that might be true. Turn off your notifications.
It's not like I get a notification that money came out of our account and I be going, ooh, what's this? Let me see. I don't do that. It can just be random stuff. Like I see random stuff and I be like, ooh, I wonder what that is.
Then you go to processing and thinking. Yeah.
I mean, well,
it's cool.
I mean, sometimes I don't process too far and try. So I remember way back in the day, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all. Yep. I'll be making it, especially if I ain't heard nothing about it, making sure everything lines up. But I do remember this is when me and Jude first got married, y'all. And I want to say, so my birthday is usually like a day or two, couple days right around Sweetest Day. And I remember this one day, and this was long before we separated and all of that. And so I remember this one day, I went on our account and it was some purchases from K Jewelers or something like that. Now, the date this stuff was purchased was like weeks in advance of when I actually seen it, and I didn't have nothing from K Jewelers. So now at this time, I was a CSI detective. I don't think I never told you this. I was a CSI detective because I'm like searching. I'm going through his drawers. I'm doing all this stuff. And then the date, the address that it got delivered to was definitely not our address. And so I'm like, this, you know what? I'm like, something is going on right now. Who he out here buying stuff from K Jewelers for? And I'm doing all this research. Like, you spent how much money on this stuff at K and I don't got it? So I researched the address and it was my mother-in-law's address. But that did not make me feel any better because I'm like, oh, so now he really being sneaky and he's sending it to my mama-in-law's house. So I don't know. He been spending our money buying gifts for somebody. Y'all, it was just this whole scenario I had in my head. And I had to do some research. I was so mad, like for like probably the next couple weeks till it was around my birthday, Sweetest Day, for me to come home from work this one day. And it was two K Jewelers little thingies, some roses. It was a bear. It was all this cute little stuff. And it was just sitting in there on our little island thing in the kitchen with all these cards waiting for me. And I'm just saying.
Just
I
a
mean, this was
hater.
a long time ago. This was
Just a
like
hater.
I wasn't. Like what my point, maybe that shouldn't have been bought out of our joint account. That's all I'm saying. Because if I didn't get it, and this is like a 2-week period of time.
But that go back to what Joe said. You trying to be CSI Miami instead of waiting it out. Say, I just try to take the money out to get her something. Yeah, but then she gonna come. What'd you take that out for?
I don't, because all the stuff you be buying for sports and cash apping people, I don't say nothing.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly.
Thank you, Joseph. I will do that from here on out.
I'm just saying, like, it really brings to light that maybe, you know,
Relax.
you having your little
Stupid.
slush fund account.
Maybe I need to get one.
Because that was one of those times where I had already started talking to people. Listen, I'll always tell y'all I am the one that used to talk about divorce. I am the one. And that was that time. Like, I'm a planner. It was planned out. I was about to bust him out. Like, you got sending people gifts to your mom's house so I don't find out. It was just this whole shebang in my head. But because we having this conversation, that really makes sense that, I mean, for women's peace of mind, y'all just should have y'all's account like we got our account.
Maybe.
It's not a maybe. It's really true.
I'll think about it.
I mean, I've matured. And so I don't do those type of things anymore. Exactly. You really should. Like, I really don't like that. That actually taught me a lesson on trust, really. So there has been times where I've had to question him about some stuff. That's gonna actually be one of our episodes. I think it should be. But there are times where I have actually had to question him about stuff, but only because sometimes, like, Jew will do stuff on our account and he don't remember. And like when I'm trying to like reconcile bills and stuff like that, sometimes you got to ask the question like, okay, did you do blah, 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 blah. But those times are like few and far between, because I'm also one of those type of person, like, long as I ain't getting no notifications that we in a negative by thousands and thousands of dollars or something crazy like that, Like I don't
$32 cheeseburgers.
right. Like I don't do that no more. Like I was although this is my very, very first time of ever telling him I did all of that stuff when he got me them gifts. But I was so embarrassed. Like, even though nobody knew, nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody that this is my thought process because he doing something. I ain't tell nobody. I went through all of that by myself in my head. Like, I can't believe him. We just got married, all this type of stuff going through my head. And I went through that by myself. But then when the gift is sitting in my face with his words on these cards, and I'm telling y'all, Jew is an amazing gift giver. He gives amazing gifts. It's like a full production. Like he will come in with bags of stuff and sneak upstairs with the kids. Like, okay, what he got? Like, what is he about to bring me? And then they come down with all these bags and gift me all this stuff, like especially like Mother's Day and stuff like that. Like, I don't know at this point that they just spent all the one day I was mad. Like, why did you spend this much money on Mother's Day? Like, that's ridiculous. So he's an amazing gift giver. So I try my hardest not to, look too thoroughly unless it's something that's not reconciling. So I'll put it that way. I'll put it that way.
So let's hypothetically say, like, we get in this relationship and you like, oh, well, he good with money, so you put me over the bills. What was the conversation gonna be like if the lights was getting shut off?
After I said you.
Now, our lights have never been shut off, people, not because of lack of payment. I mean, sometimes your power outages, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you do if the person that you're like, okay, well, you better with money than I am,
and you find out otherwise?
Yeah.
I mean, I still think Jew is good with money, but when it came to something that's important to me as tithe,
I ain't talking about tithe. I'm talking about bills. I mean, it's a bit, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, but I can only equate it to how I felt when the whole tithe issue came up. Of okay, how are we going to handle this situation? We got the money to pay, but he's not paying. So now our lights is off, or the gas is off, or whatever the case may be. How are we going to fix that? Especially if when your bills is getting shut off for lack of payment, that means you ain't paid in some time. So
what would have been your solution?
I would have paid it. I would have figured out how to take that away from you, so we ain't sitting in the dark looking at each other grinning. Like, but I think like that. I feel like, okay, I see a problem here in our marriage. Let me fix it, because he ain't fixing it. But I guess my piggyback question to you was, do you feel like if that was our situation, I should have came out? That's a conversation that has to be had. Like, okay, boo thing, I've discovered that you don't know how to pay bills, and I'm gonna just take it over and pay the bills.
Well, if you gonna be checking me like that, don't call me boo thing. But I mean, yeah, I mean, because I'm sure there's households where it's like, okay, I handle the bills, or you know what I'm saying, or maybe the young lady handles the bills, or whatever the case. But yeah, that's a conversation that would have to be had. I mean,
I don't know if we were in that situation that I would want to have that conversation, because I would be pissed. I would be so upset that our lights is getting cut off because you simply just will not pay the bill. That's like that's a different conversation. This ain't like, oh, can we talk? That's not that conversation. That's like, what are you doing? Like, how did our lights get cut off? That's a mad conversation.
So you wouldn't want to have that conversation?
Absolutely not. I would be mad.
So what would you do then?
I would go in our account and make the arrangement, so I would put it on rotation or something and pay the bill. And then I would feel like, well, let him figure out what I did. So you can see that I had to come in and I had to make sure these bills getting paid, because you just ain't paying the bills. I'm serious. This is how I would react in that situation.
So you would put it on auto pay?
I would do something. Like, for me, if there's money in your household and one person is so horrible with money that they not paying the bills,
yeah, then they don't need to deal with the money
at all. You saying?
At all? Like, I mean, if somebody is that horrible with money, or like that frivolous with money, then they need to deal with their individual account. They don't need to be the person that's authorized they can be authorized on the bills, but at the end of the day, they don't need to be responsible for making sure that bill's paid or that bill's paid.
So how would you have that conversation?
With who? You?
Yes.
Oh, put your money back in this account. I got
it. That's what you said.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
No.
I would be mad though. Like,
exactly.
Why is our lights off? You walking around with a candle. Why is these lights off? Yeah, it would be.
How would we charge our phones?
That's what you worried about? How you charge your phone? In the car.
Yeah, like, ain't that important?
Yeah, I guess.
Who we gonna talk to? Like, I mean, you can't be on Facebook.
Each other in the dark.
I mean, that brings up a good point, actually.
What?
Conversating in the dark.
Yeah, but you want them lights back on. So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I just think that, like we said before, I think it's a healthy balance for everybody. If all right, we kind of split the bills or what have you. Like I said, if you got it like that, like you Ricky Smiley or whoever, and you can, that's how you grew up, and you feel like a man is supposed to do all of it. Go for it.
Did he say it in the context of I'm rich, so I can do it, or because it was how he was?
No, he said in the context of like, because that's what he saw. That's what he saw. But I mean, it's also again easier to kind of say that in a position like that when you're well off. You know what I'm saying?
So if you was well off, would the option be made to me to like not work and you pay all the bills?
Sure.
So I'm gonna just put it out there that when you say sure like this,
sure,
it doesn't really.
No, I mean if that's what you wanted to do and we was in a position where we could do that, so be it. Sure.
Okay, so my next part that I actually want to discuss is so I have my own nonprofit.
I like 13 minutes.
I have my own. This is gonna be quick. I mean, we can end it with this. So I have my own nonprofit where, for lack of a better word, I help a lot of people. And so since we're talking about finances, now me and you are very, very compatible when it comes to helping people. So there has never been an issue with us about who we're helping. Like if we feel like somebody need help and we got it, we're going to help that person. You know, and some people always try to act like, oh, it's naive to just automatically want to help. Well, we're also both in careers where, you know, the basis of what we do is we help people. And so I guess the good question, which I think I probably know what you're going to say, or for anybody else who want to chime in on this, do you ever feel like there was a point where, and this is just concerning, you know, me having a nonprofit, where too much of our personal finances, our household finances was going to fund the nonprofit, where you like, okay, how can we have this conversation?
No.
That's just it. Oh, I mean, that actually kind of makes me feel good that I use a lot of our personal funds. I ain't gonna say a lot. It ain't a lot. It's enough. I do use our personal funds to not necessarily just about helping people, but you know, so when I'll put it this way, when I get my weekly deposits, I'm like one of those. I set up our joint account to be a $5 monthly subscription to my nonprofit. So this is a shameless plug. If anybody want to donate $5 a month to Legacy 31, please go on my website, legacy31.org, and sign yourself up. But in any case, I signed our joint account up to be a $5 monthly subscription to our nonprofit. Now, you know that at the end of the year, you know, that's not like a whole bunch of money. But in addition to that, when I get my so I get my disability money, I get that money every single month. If not all of that, a good portion of that, I put over into to my business account. And then when I get my weekly deposits, I take a portion of that and put it over into my business account. Now, of course, we can write this off. You know, we can write all of this off at the same time. But so although I do feel like I've been blessed to be able to like buy little stuff that I want, or, you know, just tells you like, hey, I got my eye on this, and then, you know, get it later. a lot of the money that I do bring in, it does go to help people, especially when, like, I'm big about domestic violence and sexual assault. That's what my nonprofit is. So, I use my funds. I use our funds together to kind of formulate how I'm gonna keep that running, like, business expenses, different stuff like that. And I don't ever feel like, do you ever feel like that's a pinch when that happens? Like funneling money towards Legacy 31?
No, if I did, we'd had a conversation.
So you was a very giving person. So I mean, I'm blessed in that way to never feel like there's no support when, I mean, sometimes I will go through Jude's clothes when I feel like somebody need help, and I will pack up his clothes, and he has nice shoes, and I will give them away. And I just be telling him like, well, I met this guy, and he wear this size or he wear that size, so I kind of went through your stuff, and I just packed up a couple little things, and it's always been good. I feel like if we're blessed to be a blessing to somebody else when it comes to like helping and doing all that type of stuff. I don't want to be no poor person. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like long as our household is taken care of, our kids are well provided for, we're well provided for, we got food, we got all of these things. If we have it to give, I don't know, like, why not give it to somebody in need? And I don't say that to say that, we, after every paycheck, we got $2,000 left over and we donate $2,000 to somebody somewhere. I don't do that. But that's just another conversation, I guess, people should have when, we blessed because both of us are givers. But if that conversation comes up, like, how do you have that conversation? Like, I want to give, but my spouse, or they don't want to give. They want to keep all the money for ourselves. So just different stuff like that. So I'm actually going to get ready to close, and I'm early. Look, what time is it?
I don't know. I can't see that.
It's 9:52.
9:52.
So what are your last closing thoughts?
Just like most things, I would say different strokes for different folks. So what works for us might not work for you. What works for you might not work for us. There's no blueprint. There's no law that says you got to have joint accounts, got to have individual accounts.
Do you think that's a conversation that should be had like during marriage counseling?
Yeah. Yeah, because people think different. Like literally, like we literally know people that feel like, no, we don't have joint accounts. We're not going to have joint accounts. Like, I think that's a conversation that need to be had, because who says that both people went into the marriage thinking that way? You know what I'm saying? That could be one person said it and the other person is scared or intimidated to say, no, I think we need joint accounts, and have that conversation. So I think, yeah. And just like anything, I think with finances, it's about balance. I mean, split the bills. Just split the bills. I mean,
that's your takeaway.
Yeah, just split the bills.
That's his takeaway. Split the bills.
Yeah,
split the bills.
Split the bills, man. Help that brother out. I mean,
so, well, who do you think should pay for dinner?
What you mean? When we go out?
Yeah, when we go out.
It's coming out of our account. Unless you like, I'm gonna take you out. And it's coming out of your slush fund.
So I just want to bring this on a more serious note, since we were actually talking about finances tonight. And again, I am a domestic violence advocate, and there is a such thing as financial abuse. There are all different types of abuse, but we're talking about finances tonight. So there is a such thing as financial abuse. So if y'all know somebody really struggling, reach out to my organization, or some resources like hotlines and different stuff like that. So you don't feel like you're in a situation where if you won't be taken care of because you're dealing with a certain type of person. There is help available every single October. People do, as part of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, people literally will talk about financial abuse and have people like donate to like purse funds and different stuff like that, so they can have specific funds set aside for women and men who may deal with financial abuse. So that's my little spiel on that. But in closing, I feel like I should put all of my bulk paycheck type stuff back to our joint account because Jew been feeling this way for all this time and he never said nothing to me. Now, okay, you talking about you need to have a conversation. You ain't never had that conversation with me till we on live.
I did not say I've been feeling that way this whole time. I said I felt some kind of way at first, and then I said it worked, so whatever works.
So, in the end, I feel like I'm probably going to switch my account back and keep the account I have now as my slush fund. Because I actually ended up that account I had for all those years. I actually ended up closing it out probably less than a year ago. And mind you, I had this account since Jalen and Janai was like first born, and they're 18 now. So I did end up closing this account, and so now I used to have a lot of accounts. Now I just have one main account, and we have our joint account. Plus we got like savings accounts and all that type of stuff. But I used to have like a lot of accounts. That's actually terrible. I'm good. I'm actually good with money though. Like I know how to save when I want. Like I have this thing about high-end purses. And although I don't want to call myself cheap because that's probably not the right word. I am frugal in my spending when it's a big purchase. So I'm not going to, I'll just use an LV bag, for instance. I'm never going to pay full price for a high-end bag. Absolutely never. I think those prices are ridiculous. I don't even care if I was rich, which I'm claiming richness in my near future. I'm never going to pay full price. I'm not. For all you ladies who like high-end bags, please visit your local Poshmark app. And you will find all of those high-end prices. Still, they can be pretty costly depending on the condition of them. But on Poshmark, once something is over $500 in LV, for instance, if you are saying this is the real truthful item, like you have to pay for authentication before you can actually sell the bag. So if you are looking for a real bag, you can get them off Poshmark, and if it's over $500, it has been authenticated as the actual bag with date codes and cards and all of this stuff. And it comes with buyer protection if, like, let's just say something slides under the radar or something like that. So you can recoup your money and not feel like you've lost your money. So that's just my little spiel. Since we're talking about finances tonight, there are ways around it to be able to get purchases that you like that cost ridiculous amounts of money at the store, but you like it and you want it anyway. That's what I want to end with. That's my piece of it. Even for guys, like I be telling you all the time, like get on Poshmark. They might have it on Poshmark. I found him good stuff on Poshmark. Stuff that he ain't buying himself in the store. I find it on Poshmark. Like my shoes and boots and all that type of stuff. I'm just saying. But in any case, we'll be back next week. Are you asleep?
No.
You okay?
Yeah.
He looks asleep to me. We will be back next week. 1 minute. I did good today. We will be back next week with another episode. I'm still wrapping my head around how I want to introduce the conversation of the good, the bad, and something else about marriage, where we had that conversation with other married couples. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do that, and I don't think I'm gonna do it next week. Next week, I actually want to talk about trauma.
Next week is my topic.
Oh yeah, next week is Jude's topic. Never mind. Okay. Clearly, we're not going to talk about trauma because he came right in and said next week is my topic. It will not be about trauma because you don't want to talk about it. But maybe when it's back to my week to come up with what we're going to talk about, it's going to be about trauma. But maybe not, because to have that conversation, I need his full participation. And don't he look asleep? He looked like he'd been asleep. So I need his full participation to have this conversation. And so it might not be, I'm going to figure it out. But in the meantime, you got anything else to say?
Peace.
That's it.
I gotta be quiet now because the camera's going off.
He wasn't visible on me. This is, his thing every week. So, but in any case, y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good blessed night. Make sure y'all pay your tithe. Okay. I don't care if y'all don't agree with me. Make sure y'all pay your tithe because you will truly be blessed and God will take care of you if you pay your tithe. We are living witnesses that by paying our tithe, however y'all manage to do that, if one person is paying it, God is going to take care of you. That's it. That's all. Goodbye.